Hi guys, it's me again, today finally, again with the third part of the advanced plays of the Noble Knight series. Today I'm going, more than a plays, I'm gonna show you deck theory behind the deck and the options it has to be built. I think the deck is completely misunderstood and underused, people streamlining it to 40 cards is obviously onto something because the format actually requires you to open at least 2 hand traps or you are really not going to have any chance. But I think that's not ideal because if we do that and if we're being completely honest with a competitive mindset, Infernoble Knight is like a worse version of Elite Synchron or Adamancipator, and there's literally no point in trying to play the deck that way. Like, it's going to have a higher win ratio versus the meta, but it's still not going to be enough or ideal to win events. So you're basically just wasting your time, like, it doesn't make sense. On the other hand, the 60 card version has problems dealing with combo decks, but it's a better deck overall because it has more options and plays in non-linear way, which is really in non-linear ways, which is really important because your opponent is not going to be able to adapt over the course of a match, which is like completely different from the 40 card version, which is incredibly linear and it's very easy to outplay it that way. Like people that doesn't play competitive way too much really cannot understand that big disadvantage that is the fact that your deck is linear and has only one line of play. Like that is a huge disadvantage because your opponent is always going to know your actions before you even perform them, which is going to help them play even better against you. So I don't like linear decks. They are really such a liability for competitive. So even if the win radius is slightly higher than the 60 card version, I would rather not go there. This is why OCG started moving towards higher card counts as of late. They are not playing 40 anymore, they are playing like 45, 50, and I've even seen 60 because it's what makes sense actually, because these cards are actually such a liability, but you still need to play them. Like they are a bunch of garnets. Like your deck is full of garnets. What can you do? Like the only one of this that is not a garnet is like Durandal, but it's one. Yeah, what can you do? There's not much to be done there. So I use this image because 4 Noble Knights have 40 unique related cards. Like people is not even playing like 10 of these cards, like 40 main deck because we have 7 extra deck cards as well. But it has 40 different main deck cards. And all of them serve like different purposes. Even the vanilla is actually one of the better options because it's basically what enables you to play like the best the best extender for the deck, which is Unexpected Die. But yeah, I mean all of them have different roles. Even if the only ones that I would consider out of the main deck Noble Knight cards, the only ones I would consider completely unplayable are these two. Like the rest of the cards, all of these have unique uses that make them worth playing. Are they worth playing in this format? Not likely, but there might be a format in the future where they are worth playing. So yeah, they are really good. They are really flexible and really adaptable. Like look at these. Look how many different playable monsters you have. Like you have 22 options to choose for, and then you choose to limit yourself to the bare minimum, which are like the fire knights, and I don't get it. Like there's no point. And out of the spells, I think most and traps, I think most of them are playable with the exception of Avalon, which is really bad. And then we have like Oliphant's Horn, like these four are really fringe, but they can still be playable. I mean, they are surely not optimal, but if you wanted to, you could play them, especially last chapter. But that's a topic for another time. But even if we exclude all of these as unplayable cards, look at how many playable cards you actually have. They are a lot. Like you have 33 different playable cards, why are you choosing to limit yourself? Like, you could be adapting to tackle the meta better. Like, dude, you're not doing it okay if you ignore the toolbox part of this deck. So this is what an OCG build looks like before they started like playing more than 40 cards. And if you look at through it, it's a very linear concept. I mean, what I basically did was replace stuff like Call by the Grave and Free Tactical Talents, which are not good cards for TCG at the moment, because the decks are resilient enough to play it through one hand trap without any kind of issue. So it's better to play cards that limit your opponent's ceiling rather than re-raise your own ceiling. So that is why Call by the Grave is not seeing that much play. So yeah, even without that, like, I adapted it. If you look carefully, it's basically the same, like 1, 2, 3, Call by the Grave, 3 tactical talents, 3 cross out, and then the cross out targets. It's pretty much the same thing though. So what do we have here? A core engine of the fire cards. What is the purpose of these fire cards? To make a turn 1 combo that leads into a confiscation and a negation. That's pretty much it. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's aiming to do that on turn 1, and then on turn 3 tackle Gearfried and Access Code Talker. It literally is trying to do that. It's not trying to do anything else. What happens with this is that you have a limited set of resources and actions you can perform. And what happens is that your opponent is going to be able to outplay you quite easily because he already knows what you are going to do even before you do it, which is a big disadvantage for competitive. I mean, linear decks like Control Athlete have seen success, or True Draco have seen success in the past. However, those decks were not, when they had success, were not playing like in common meta patterns. This deck has all of the disadvantages of a meta deck and plays exactly in the same patterns, but has none of the advantages. Like, between playing this and Synchron Edlich, I'm going to play Synchron Edlich every time because it's the better combo deck. It's way better than this. It actually has a green game, unlike this deck, so it's not good. I'm gonna show you. I mean, the only reason to choose this build over any other build is the probability of to open 2 hand traps. Like, literally is one of the meta trends to open 2 or more hand traps in your starting hand. Like, it's the only redemption this deck has, or this style to building the deck has. So yeah, it's quite the advantage, but I don't think that's enough, because the deck is just a bad version of other meta decks, and I see no point in doing so. Then we have like the 60 card build, which is, this is my current build. This build is aimed towards doing stuff differently. It doesn't have a linear way to play the deck. It's adaptable. It even has toolbox extra deck cards like this. It's not. I mean, it's trying to open Carle, but it's not trying to do anything else. Like, if it resolves wars, that's pretty good. If it doesn't, I don't care. Then it can recover all of its resources with these 3 guys, like getting draw phase 2 per turn, while refueling the ult is really good. And then it's not trying to do anything fancy, it's just trying to be a toolbox deck. If you play like in 24, well, 23 up to 25 circa, there was a very common and popular deck, which was Warrior Toolbox, which basically it was that, just a toolbox to adapt better to the situation. Like, if you needed a beater, you used like a Goblin Attack Force, or if you needed to swarm the field, you search Maravin Captain, etc. This is pretty much a modern version of that, and it's like giving the toolbox to Roland and Isolde, setting up future turn. And it has more adaptability than the other version. So now I'm going to show you 2 replays. Like, they obviously are not replays meant to be taken seriously, but just to show the concept and the main difference between both decks. So I'm not going to play like the Athlete deck optimally, but I'm going to perform the combos in full power for both versions. So I'm gonna do the standard OCG combo, which is not even an OCG combo, it was discovered by TCG players. So yeah, now that we're getting the cards at the same time as OCG for online platforms, like we discovered the decks faster than them. So yeah, we do the standard combo, which is like Carly with Boris Savage, and I even stack Gearfried in my hand, so in theory they are banking for this board and the confiscation to be enough to win the game, and that can be. So, but what happens if for whatever reason your opponent is able to break your board? That's the reason I'm not going to confiscate the Sphere mode, right? So just look at this. I'm just going to confiscate Ash because it's the only card that's not helping the engine. So look at this. We just move and then we play Ra, clear the full board, and then we're going to do a standard Eldritch plays. We get the Nibiru and we start doing standard things. I summon Linkuriboh, he goes for Phantasme. I tried to attack like this with Linkuriboh, but apparently I couldn't, so yeah, that's why the field was like that. So look at this. I lead with a copy of Gearfried, I negate with Forever, he keeps doing stuff, goes for Isolde, and I only at this point I summoned Renault because I only had one Noble Arms in deck. Like I didn't have any other equip spell in deck. So look at this. This is one of the problems with this version. It's very streamlined. Like in this version, I was even trying to fix the issues of the deck by playing toolbox cards. And if I was not playing like these 3 toolbox cards, I would have like one access code, which is something I should be playing. That is before I learned that I should be playing access code in this version. And then 2 synchros like Marsher, and then another synchro that wouldn't help me to do anything relevant. So yeah, the only relevant card in this extra deck is basically Access Code Tucker. Like, and then I couldn't toolbox like a good card in my deck like Brothers or Wars or something because I didn't have enough equip spells and I don't play them. So in this scenario, like Dristan would have been really helpful, like many different things would have been incredibly good, but alas, we don't play them and we're really limited in what we can do. So I use Ogie and then he Nibiru's me because I couldn't do anything. And then I basically lose from here. He just plays his Scarlet Sanguine, and in the end phase he goes for Conquistador. I mean, when I say he is just for saying something because I'm playing the other deck as well. So, and then we simply attack the game. What I wanted to showcase with this replay is that the deck is very limited. Even if I had like access code Tucker, my set of plays was incredibly limited. Like I couldn't do anything really. My board was broken and I didn't have a relevant extra deck. I had like few main deck resources, mostly hand traps. Like the deck has issues, like if they break the board you are done for. This is why Synchro Eldritch is a much better deck. Like Synchro Eldritch can play even if the combo fails. Like the deck can play with this, like the Elixirs and the Golden Boys, etc. But this deck can't. This deck is toast. So yeah, then I'm going to show you a very similar replay, but with the full version of the deck. Wow. I can find it. Damn. Yeah, but with another version of the deck. So look at this. It's the same hand, but I'm gonna play with the full version of the deck. So at this point, Boars was already a threat and was already something worth using Ash Blossom on. However, if they use like Ash Blossom on boards, like I would have resolved like, yeah, for free. So they obviously, no one sane is going to throw Ash Blossom there. To keep the parity, I'm not going to use Ash nor discard like Sphere mode. I'm going to play the game similarly. So at this point I just mill 9 for the Griffith, and then just start playing the game. Like literally, I keep playing. I make a more a more a more simple version of the combo, a simpler version of the combo, a simplified version of the combo. Sorry if my English sometimes is not that good. And I just finish up with Carle. But look at how different the game is. For starters, I already have enough resources to attempt a comeback. Like I have Arfidorir, Kostarin, and these to try and come back. Like I got Rise Sphere mode, and I'm going to get that raw, and I'm going to blow up the Sphere mode out of my field, so it's one less card to worry about. So yeah, I'm just going to start playing the game. Like at this point, the Edlich deck could not even OTK me. Why? Because I had like these traps, the graveyard, so it wouldn't have helped him. So that's why I didn't go for the OTK. So just look at this, look at how many options I have. Like I'm gonna lead my own turn with Medrod and Arfidorir, which is like one of the best positions to be. So at this point I just activate the Conquistador because remember that I already know where Golden Land Forever is. Because he said it with Black Awakening, so I just triggered the Conquistador and I chained my trap to summon Tristan. I thought that this would be sent to the grave and then re-equip to Tristan, but apparently not. So well, it really didn't matter because even if I cleared like the counter here, I would be able to play the game freely. So I went for Queen. That's why I burned like this. It really wouldn't have mattered too much. So I wanted to take off the Tristan, but then I forgot that Queen was going to protect Tristan. Look at this. Like this was a very inconsequential play, where Queen was basically just there and giving me a free effect. Like it's what I told you. It's the strength of the toolbox. Like I couldn't destroy the Tristan because the Queen randomly protected him. Like, dude. So then I just start playing and protect my Gearfried, and then just keep playing. I'm gonna play my turns normal, and then I'm gonna get another draw, and then I'm just going to play the game normally. Like, look at how many options I have. I have not even committed to the Norman Summon. He's going to Nibiru, but just for the flex. Nibiru really didn't matter. And then I'm going to keep playing. Like, dude, this deck can be unreal. And then I can just adapt and keep throwing cards, and I obviously already closed this game with Kostarin. So if you look at this versus the other replay, you can see the main difference is that I have plenty of options to play the game. Like, yeah, like the other deck ran out of steam at the moment the board was broken. This deck had a broken board and really didn't care. Like, it could rebuild the full board and have infinite resources by recycling them. Like, there's no point of comparison. In a vacuum, the 60 card version is the better build. Not only because it's more consistent, and it's more consistent because it varies the bot cards, which are the equip spells. It's more consistent because it plays more extenders, which is quite important. It is less consistent at seeing non-searchable cards like the hand traps, which is a big disadvantage for this meta. That's why I wouldn't recommend to play this version on this meta either, because the meta is so focused on opening at least 2 hand traps to try and beat your opponent, and this deck is not that consistent opening 2 hand traps, unlike the 40 card version, which can be adapted. Even then, neither of the versions of the deck is prepared to handle this meta, to be completely honest. But the 60 card version is way better in a vacuum than the 40 card version because it can play differently, playing in non-linear ways, not burn all of its extra deck turn 1. Like, it's very efficient. It's a very good way to play the deck. So that's pretty much it for today. My closing thoughts is that 60 version is better in general in a vacuum, but it's not good against this current meta. If the meta changes to more back row heavy decks, there's nothing to be debated. Like, 60 is way better, like way better. If you look closely, like the Bullet Savage is not going to matter in pretty much 90% of the games. Like that Raigeki break and that confiscation is enough to win a game. Like trust me, it's enough. I have tested a lot against top decks going first, and every time I could get like to Carly and Grenade, they lost. It's way too powerful if you know what you're doing. The Bullet Savage is just flexing at that point. It's unnecessary. That's why I don't see the point in cutting your main deck options to play other ways, to have more answers, and just to cut them, to slash them, to have a more powerful combo. And I say powerful with quotes because it's not really that much powerful. It's a win more combo at that point. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that version of the deck, to be completely honest. But people seems to like it, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be see success. I don't think 60 is going to see success either, as long as the current meta conditions are similar. However, if meta conditions change a bit, I think the 60 is better. It's better equipped to handle whatever those changes might be. So that's for today. The next time I'm going to show you how to play going second against a field full of disruptions with the 60 card version. See you later.